Peter talks to his computer. He prefers it to typing and particularly prefers it to pen and paper.
40.
Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
$16. 26.
Hello. Can can you hear me better now, Craig? Yeah, so I'm joining this game a bit late, but it appears that the scores are still roughly even and not much has happened. Paul is currently on turn, and he has retail and an eye, which isn't making anything on this board. I don't really like what he's doing. I think fishing an eye is probably correct because retail is fairly strong. But that's just my first impression, and it is the board isn't very receptive to such a fish. I think perhaps IT next to Crest might have been the best fish of that kind, and that seems like it might have been worth a shot.
Before. Oh. Just check.
Piotr didn't have a bingo with that rack, so something like Kilty is fine.
Play a script.
Yep, 34 and 5.
39.
Yeah.
So
112.
112, 97.
Yep.
Paul's rack is now quite far from something that might turn into a bingo, which is the problem with playing a move like Litai if you have a rack like he had the last turn. On the other hand, he does have scoring tiles, so he might be able to do well for himself on this turn at least.
Hello, Jeremy.
$34.
Injure was probably the only reasonable option there, but it's very, very open, and Piotr now has a good rack and will be bingoing probably underneath Injure. You can play, for example, Springe, which will put the G on the double letter, but he's going for peering. I'm not sure which scores more. Let me just count that.
87.
They score the same, as Quackle helpfully points out. I think Paul now just has a very standard QI play. I would. He's considering QATS for QATS would be 50, and QI only 31. That is perhaps better. Putting the Q in the AAA isn't that bad because there won't be that many ways for your opponent to score back with it. On the other hand, playing the S here leaves a sort of not very strong leave of EHOW. I think either is like fine. I'll probably go with QATS here. Piotr has drawn another very nice rack. He has footies and footsie, and he's playing footies and peerings.
Cool. Check peerings. Yeah.
I assume the play is being held right now.
No good.
Oh, no.
It is only spearing and spreeing. I think I've been I might have been like cutting in and out. I think I might solve that problem now. Technology is hard, basically. Well, after that not very well advised try of peerings, Piotr is still ahead, but by a small amount, and Paul can now catch up. I think Paul looks like he's currently considering a wear, WHEAR, the crest, which seems like a good option at first glance. He's just probably trying to make sure that it won't give Piotr anything back because it was all of Piotr's rack, and it does not. Woofiest is a word, but Injure is blocking that, so it's not a problem. And the question is, are there any alternatives that might keep a better leaf than IOR, which is sort of vowel heavy and not that good? Can't really see anything on that front, so he's just going for Weir, which is fine.
$36.
Piotr should now probably play off OOF somewhere, like he should have last turn. He can do that over or under Weir. That is a better spot for OOF than previously existed on the board, so but there's not much you can do about that. It's not that significant. Oh dear. Paul has drawn some alarmingly bad tiles. That is AOOO out of the bag. Given the situation as it stands, I would say Piotr still has a significant advantage despite the phony because he has tiles that are a lot nicer. I think he's choosing to play FOO under Injure to try and keep the lanes in Weir open, because he has a very bingo prone leaf. Fair enough. The main filter of importance there would be the E, I guess. The W and the H don't look that promising.
$21.
That's a good move by Paul. Locking he knows that Piotr kept EIST on his previous as his leaf on his previous turn, and well, it's about the only thing he can do that's better than changing in any case. So that's a good find there. The leaf of AOO is still pretty dreadful though, unless he draws really well. In any case, Piotr does find his only bingo. It's not that tough to find. And he takes the lead on a board that's beginning to close down. Paul doesn't have a good rack, and he needs to try to get in shape to mount some kind of comeback. And currently, the main lane for a bingo would be underneath Kilty, and a bingo like that would need to end in an A, I, or O, which is not. Bingos like that are not as common as bingos ending in say E or a consonant. Apart from that, there is the ER on the left, which could potentially allow for some 9-letter bingos, but Paul really needs to sort his rack out first before considering things like that. It would be helpful as well if you could do it while opening up, say, the right side of the board to create more volatility. Really, though, with his current rack, Paul does not have many options. In fact, I'm struggling to see anything at all. He may just be forced to change. it's, I mean, he can play OW underneath where which scores a reasonable number of points but keeps a pretty horrible lead. But
36.
the 36 points may be relevant on a board that's tightening up and he's not that far behind. This is probably reasonable. And he has gone for OW. Makes sense. Piotr now having a slender lead, but he is on turn, so he can extend it. Probably just looking to take about the whatever the best score is, provided the relief is reasonable, and he does do something like that, playing alongside Sectile, not opening anything up. Krakow points out that he missed debate underneath OW, making wood and HOWE, that was quite a tough spot. That would probably have been a lot better because it wouldn't have left him with such an imbalanced lead. I didn't really see that myself. Rack has actually improved somewhat, but he is still trailing by 45 now. So if the game just sort of plays out with both players taking scores of 20 to 30 points, Paul is going to lose. And so he appears to be considering VIA, making DEV, which would open up the right side of the board, as I was suggesting earlier, and that has some obvious merits. Yeah,
26.
a reasonable score and making the position more open. I am wondering about the Q floating in the triple lane. Wait, is I don't think that was the rack that Paul had. He had VIA and Halo. Yeah, so speedy player suggestions of like Wala or Halva don't really like those as much as what Paul played for the reason I gave. Halva did score a lot though. Anyway, as I was saying about the Q in the 9-timer lane, there are 3 U's and a blank unseen. So that may be. And in fact, Paul has picked up one of the U's. The scoring is to heat up. Paul has the U, and he is aware that there are two U's and a blank unseen to him. So he may want to play to the Q first and take the score there. And he could play, for example, quad, QUOD. He might be thinking about playing quad instead, using his A because there are two A's and no O's unseen. On balance, I would that's worth considering, but probably quad is still better. If you're going to play to the Q. Alternatively, yeah, he's seen it. He played Daura, DOURAH,
56.
which is a significantly better score, but it does not take out the the Q, which you might consider worrying given that there are U's left, but Paul was sort of playing from behind, so it's he does need to take some risks, and the score for this is just a lot better, and it leaves one in the bag. Fortunately, he hasn't picked up very well. The unseen blank was on Piotr's rack. And now, if I'm not wrong, Paul has picked up both the U's, but has nothing to the Q. So this looks like Piotr should be able to take this.
$349 to $356.
357. 40, 65, 81, 97, 131, 181, 217, 239, 22. 217, 22.
I'm not seeing any big goals that Piotr can play. I don't think there's anything that would go underneath Kilty.
I think I declared that as 21.
And there isn't enough space to the right of Daura.
274, 300.
Another thing about quad is that it would have allowed Piotr to bingo. Another point in its favor. Now, from Piotr's perspective, there is, I believe, no play from the queue, despite the fact that both U's are unseen. So really what he needs to do is to just play a move that will allow him to go out no matter what he picks up from the bag, and that should be winning. Basically looking at anything hooking crests or cresta, playing off 5 or 6 tiles there. For example, he appears to have arranged meals that would keep a blank, which should definitely go out no matter what he picks up. Given that Piotr's currently only 7 points behind, that will also give him enough points to win the game. So it looks like Piotr will be taking a 4-1 lead in this best of 19 series. Despite playing the non-word peerings, he managed to take home the win. I think the main turning point of the game towards the end maybe was what Paul picked up after Dora, or rather what Piotr drew from the bag after Fein. Because Dora was a pretty strong move given from Paul's perspective, given what was unseen. He had the chance to draw pretty well. with two U's and a blank, so giving him the potential to catch up. And indeed, Dora put him into a slight lead, but unfortunately, what was left in the bag just wasn't very good. I sort of missed the first part of the game, so I don't have much to say about that as I was trying to get set up. But I think another interesting point in this game was when Li Tai was played, and quite possibly that was not the best move because he had. Okay, he's and maybe some kind maybe IT would have been better because that would create two different lanes for the bingo you're very plausibly going to draw to come down and sort of give you the advantage. So Talak kept MES. I think Piotr might have been spending the time to work out that no matter what he drew, he would have two out with MES. Just trying to do some of that work for myself now. I'm not actually sure if he does have two outs, but it probably won't matter because Talak scores almost 40 points. So yeah, there were probably many winning moves. He has Rems and Crests. As I was saying, I think if Paul had blocked Rems and Crests, there wasn't a second out, as far as I can see. But he has opted to just play instead, which is it's fine. I don't think spread is a very significant factor unless there's going to be a draw. So indeed, I think Championship Player is saying that blocking Rems with GUT
36.
is spread optimal, but there's only 3 points first, so it really doesn't matter unless by some coincidence there is a draw and it does end up mattering, in which case you will not be having that. Whatever.
At the end, like fishing one and
Yeah, what do you have? R,
NES. R was in the bag.
Alright, okay.
And I had all the vowels. I know you don't have anything. You don't even have anything with the Q.
Yeah.